Now, who is CF Moto? You're riding down the street and you see the brand CF Moto and you wonder, who exactly is that? Is that even a real brand? What is that?
Huh?
Do a quick Google search and you find out, oh, hey, it's just another Chinese company. So this brand must be cheap. It must be a low quality sport bike. It must be a low quality bike. So you dismiss the CF Moto, and anytime you see it, you claim it as some cheap knockoff Chinese motorcycle. Well, I'm here to explain exactly who CF Moto is, where they came from, who they're partnered with, and all the other details that everyone seems to forget from a quick Google search online. Now, CF Moto itself was established in 1989 by this name. Now, in the early 1990s and the early 2000s, CF Moto really started working on all-terrain vehicles. This early in CF Moto's history, they were more focused on smaller engine components and producing small engines. It wasn't until 2011 when CF Moto and KTM decided to form a partnership. Now you're wondering who KTM is. Now KTM is a Austrian motorcycle, bicycle, and motorsports company. KTM was founded in 1934. They have a huge reputation in racing, more so off-road events. Now, just because KTM is off-road doesn't mean that they're limited there. They obviously include into motocross, enduro, supermoto, and street riding.
Okay.
Back to CF Moto. I just wanted to announce the fact that they are partnered with this brand. Even though they decided to form a partnership in 2011, CF Moto and KTM weren't really solidified in their partnership until about 2017, where they had a joint venture for motorcycle production and sales within China. Before all the motorcycle stuff, CF Moto was mainly involved with high-end yacht construction, which is pretty ridiculous to think about. It really wasn't until about 2023 when CF Moto decided to enter the US market, which is why you probably have never really heard of them, because that was only 2 years ago. Now, before motorcycles, CF Moto was more so involved, again, with the all-terrain or the off-road vehicles, which if you go to any outdoor shop or any place that sells outdoor equipment like that, you will definitely see the brand CF Moto. Even with their short presence of motorcycles for only about 2 years, CF Moto has definitely made more of an impact throughout the years, especially within the US market. Now, CF Moto produces a lot of other engines for other manufacturers, especially agricultural. They also incorporate a lot of high tech and provide a lot of riding events that allow people to test out their vehicles before they buy them. CF Moto has a strong focus on affordability, and they have a good reputation for reliability, obviously tying into the partnership with KTM. A lot of the fear too is that CF Moto does not have a good amount of presence in the States, but as the years have gone on, they definitely have grown their dealerships, and there's a lot more support for CF Moto sport bikes. In that short amount of time, CF Moto has managed to manufacture a lot of different smaller displacement bikes and a lot of larger bikes, such as the smaller ones being the 450 SS or the 300 NK or Papio, all the way to the CF Moto 675 SS or their 800 NK naked bike. Now, what really separates CF Moto from the rest of the brands? So first off, being their affordable pricing without sacrificing a lot of their features that they have. Just because these bikes are a little bit cheaper does not mean that they're cutting shy of any of the features they have. A good example of this would be the new 2025 CF Moto 675 SS, which has adjustable suspension, a quick shifter, a beautiful TFT display, ABS, obviously brake cooling as well, and a steering damper on top. Now you're thinking, how cheap do they really go? Well, this bike is MSRP'd at $7,999. And now you're thinking, oh, well, it's a cheap bike, so it must break down a lot. Do you remember that brand I was talking about, KTM? Yeah, they're pretty reputable. Now, I don't know about you, but if I was some cheap brand, and I was a larger company, I wouldn't be partnering with some cheap brand creating cheap stuff that would just break. These bikes are also known for their reliability. I've never heard of KTM, or I don't even know who KTM is. Well, that's okay, because we all heard of Yamaha. We all know what a Yamaha is. And in 2023, CF Moto and Yamaha also reached an agreement to have a joint venture in China. Now, this isn't just a video to kind of glaze on CF Moto because I have one. It's more so I did my research and I actually looked up who CF Moto was. And I wanted to share this video with you guys to talk about them. Now, throughout all my research, I have found that there is a lot of potential for CF Moto, and they are actually a very, very reputable brand. CF Moto is also bringing a lot of competition into the market with their price to feature ratio, a lot of their modern styling, their build qualities, and the fact that there's a lot of warranties that they have that you can get when you buy the actual bike. Obviously, there's still that lingering stigma of, oh, well, it's a cheap brand, it's a cheap Chinese bike. it's a Chinese bike, it's a Temu bike, some say, and it's made of cheap quality, and there's nothing really good about it, and they break. But man, will that stigma be going away? Because a lot of CF Moto is expanding, and they're making a lot of profit within the States and in their US market. And personally, what I can tell is a lot of the hate is a little forced.
We should take
CF Moto hate, force it on to everybody else. It's just a little stigma behind the Chinese brand, so it's got to be cheap because everything made in China is cheap, which is not entirely true. You kind of carry that on over to the motorcycle arena, especially a new brand, and it just comes off as, okay, here's this new CF Moto brand that doesn't really make quality bikes, doesn't really do anything of quality, and never really heard of them, so they have to be making some knockoff stuff, when in reality, it's the exact opposite. I, too, was very skeptical, and again, I did my research, and I actually dove deep into what the brand was. Now, CF Moto is not just a cheap alternative, either. They're an actual competitor, and they're bringing a lot of competition into the actual market. Oh, well, they're just growing in the United States, not really growing anywhere else. Well, they're also growing in Europe and Australia as well. Of CF Moto, in the United States alone, 570 off-road dealerships and 300 motorcycle dealerships as of 2023. So no, CF Moto is not some cheap brand. It came out of nowhere, started stealing ideas from other companies, and decided, hey, we're going to make a profit off all these suckers. That is not what CF Moto is. Now, whether you're a hater or you're a lover, there's no denying that CF Moto is definitely bringing a lot more to the actual motorcycle market. And in my opinion, you know, if you're looking for some value, you're looking for some performance, some good features, everything along those lines of a good bike for a good price, they're pretty hard to miss. And in my humble opinion, definitely not a bad choice either. As a previous owner of the 450 SS and a current owner of the 675 SS, I just want to say that I've really loved this bike and I've had zero issues with this motorcycle. There's very few things that I'd actually pin on it as being a bad motorcycle. Is that to say CF Moto is going to always make 100% great motorcycles? Not necessarily, but from all the prior history and my own personal experience, I can say it's been great so far. Some quick statistics for you guys here. In 2023, there were approximately 8.8 million registered motorcycles within the United States. Now, even with a larger population, China has approximately 80.72 million motorcycles that were registered in 2022. Granted, China does have a lot larger population than the United States, but just with the fact that there's that many riders and they have a company that comes from China and they're creating motorcycles, I wouldn't really have any kind of hate or skepticism coming from a country that has over 80.72 million motorcycles registered. So yeah, is it a bike made in China? 100%. CF Moto is from China, but I would 100% ride a bike from a company that is in a country that rides motorcycles that often. And before you ask, I am not paid by CF Moto or sponsored by them. I'm making this video because I see a lot of comments out there commenting on this bike, saying it's cheap, saying all the negative things that people are saying. And I just kind of want to put those to rest. Now, I love my bike and I love my 675 SS. And to be honest, it is a great bike for what the worth of that bike actually is. So whether you're sporty, you want something beginner friendly, looking for a 450, or you're more adventure ready, or you're more, hey, I like retro or naked, or hey, I want something that's a little faster, like a 675. CF Moto has it. Now that that's all on the table, I just want to know, have you guys ever seen a CF Moto motorcycle out in public? Have you seen their ATVs? Have you seen any of them? If you were given a chance, would you ever test ride any of their vehicles? Now, let me know in the comments down below, guys. I know this is a little different of a video than I usually make, but I just kind of want to put this out there. If you like this kind of content, please leave a like. If you want to see more, subscribe. And as always, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.